So how did you get into theatrical management?
Well, I took a course at NYU called Play Pro, which was play production. And one of the teachers was Manny Eisenberg, who taught us actually that there was such a thing as general managers and company managers, because I never knew there was. I thought there were producers and actors. And so he explained what they did, and I thought, well, this is perfect. This is what I know I had good business skills, and I loved the theater, and so I thought it would be perfect.
What was your first job? Like your first job as a theater in management?
So my first job was, well, Manny said when we took the course, he said, now I never give any of my students their first job, so don't ask me.
Oh God, really? Okay.
I then, on my own, I took this page out of the yellow pages called, theatrical producers and managers, and I went walking around with my resume, which didn't have much on it because it was just college theater.
Right.
Looking for a job. And
pounding the pavement, literally. Literally
pounding the pavement. And one of the first people I went to was Ben Rosenberg, who was the general manager for Morty Gottlieb, and knocked on the door, and he saw me. His secretary said, "There's a guy who wants to see you," and took me in. And
really, that's incredible.
I met with him, and he saw my little piece of yellow pages, and he said, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, that's how I found you." And he said, "Oh, no." And he went to, and he had a pile of theatrical indexes.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "Here, take one of these."
That's cool.
And so from that, I found all these other general managers, and I sent, but they didn't, general managers only had kind of phone numbers, but there's a list of producers on the back. So I wrote letters to producers that I found in the index, and I saw that they were working on things.
Wow, that's very
And I sent a letter to Stuart Ostro, who didn't want to be bothered, I guess, and so he forwarded it. He sent it in his pouch to Harrison Bernstein, who were his general managers, with a little note, "You got anything for this guy?" ? And I think they thought I was more important to Stuart than I was, because I'd never met the guy. And so Joe Harris called me up and said, "My assistant is getting married. He's taking a 2-week vacation. Do you want to come in and replace him for 2 weeks?" This was like no interview, just...
Wow. You really lucked out.
That's why I said I think that he thought that little scribble, because I saw it when I actually met him, meant like, oh, I like this guy, hire him. It wasn't get it off my desk. And
you were lucked out.
And so when I went there, and I was working, and they were busy, they were managing Pippin at the time.
Really? That was my first Broadway show.
And some other stuff, Lorelei. And among the people who called was Manny Eisenberg. And I was answering the phone for him, and and he says, "Hi, it's Manny Eisenberg for Joey Harris." And I said, "Oh, Manny, it's Roger Gindi." He said, "Oh, good, so I don't have to find you a job." I said, "Well, actually, this one's up in 2 weeks."
Oh.
And he said, "Oh, okay." And he calls me 3 days later at Harrison Bernstein and says that Joe Papp was putting together his offices for the Beaumont, because they